What's going on, YouTube? Thought I'd just go over this article I saw on medscape.com for vitamin D deficiency and COVID-19 quadruple death rate. December 11th. Looks like apparently vitamin D deficiency on admission to the hospital was associated with a 3.7-fold increase in the odds of dying from COVID-19. According to an observational study looking back at the data of the first wave of the pandemic, nearly 60% of patients with COVID-19 were vitamin D deficient upon hospitalization, with men in the advanced stages of COVID-19 pneumonia showing the greatest deficit. Importantly, these results were independent of the comorbidities known to be affected by the vitamin D deficiency, says the couple authors. The findings highlight the need for randomized controlled trials specifically targeting vitamin D deficient patients at intake and make a call for general avoidance of vitamin D deficiency. It's a safe and inexpensive possible mitigation of the SARS-CoV-2 epidemic. Search of clinicaltrials.gov reveals there are currently close to 40 ongoing intervention trials with vitamin D in COVID-19 around the world for varying purposes, including prevention and varying forms of treatment. Considering vitamin D to protect against COVID-19 infection. Basically, it just goes on to say it's pretty much shown that low vitamin D levels are associated with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, 3.7-fold increase in the death rate with vitamin D levels below 20 nanograms per milliliter. This is a retrospective study, so it's actually looking back. So it's quite possible that the severe COVID-2 is causing the vitamin D levels to drop, or, days or weeks after, people start to get sick. They're staying in home for weeks, maybe, and by the third or the fourth week, that people are finally starting to get sick to the point where their vitamin D levels are dropping. But it sure looks quite suspect. What is not clear is whether vitamin D levels are acting as acute phase reactant, dropping because of the infection. Basically, what I was trying to say. This is likely due to the loss of protective action of vitamin D in the immune system against the SARS-CoV-2 induced cytokine storm. Osteoporosis. It says the study was adjusted for multiple confounders. Looks like it's looking at March 1st to April 7th, 2020. Median age of the patients was 69 years, 41% women, 59% men. Vitamin D levels were 18% women, 17.6% men. It says here that most clinicians consider under 50 to be low. Well, I knew someone personally, their vitamin D levels were 46 nanograms per milliliter when they had their blood tested, and they were taking 2,000 international units per day at probably 140 pounds, 150 pounds, probably in that range. I don't know too many people that get their levels tested. They really should have an at-home test kit in the United States. That way we can check Vitamin D deficiency correlated with worsening pneumonia. Plus, when you get sick, you'll lay on the couch way too much. If you sit on the couch for long periods of time, it has a tendency to give you pneumonia. I remember several years ago, I started trading stocks, and I took a week off work. And over the course of that week, I swear by the end of the week, by the fourth or the fifth day, after all those 12-hour days sitting on a recliner, I was starting to get pneumonia in my lungs, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, just from sitting there. Vitamin D dampens excessive inflammation, which is definitely one of the worst things about the COVID-19. The CCP virus, some people call it. Anyway, just figured I'd go over this little article. Obviously, it's probably been covered in a lot of other things. But you'll have a nice night.